This is Super Yacht News in association with Go Earth Boating, navigating boat buyers to better deals. Hi, welcome back to the channel. So a catamaran was hit by lightning in the Dominican Republic. This was on Monday evening. The yacht was moored at what appears to have been a private jetty in the Luperon area of the Dominican Republic, as we can see from this satellite footage here, which appears to show the same jetty, obviously before the fire. The jetty had a CCTV camera, which is what recorded this fire. Now, what it appears to have happened here is the vessel was actually hit by lightning, which sparked a fire on board the vessel, completely destroying this vessel in the fire. The sailing yacht was a 2022 built Sunreef 70 catamaran named SY Cappy 4. And it was worth around $3 million. Now, according to a Substack article by Peter Swanson, which I will link below for the full story, the locals heard a large crack around 0 to 30 hours local time, middle of the night, and by dawn, that vessel was completely destroyed. Jeff Webb, who was a boater on another vessel nearby, a vessel called SV Todo Bien, he was less than 100 yards away, he said, so roughly 100 meters away. He said that he was pretty certain the boat got hit by lightning. Pretty positive it was a big one. He said, I felt the impact on my boat. Took a little over an hour for it to really get burning, probably electrical due to lightning strike. The firefighters arrived on scene, tried to put out that fire. As you can see in the video footage here, the fire was, it got going pretty quickly, and as you can see in one piece of video here, who we don't know who actually recorded this, but you can see that the mast, the carbon fiber mast, actually collapses onto the vessel and into the water. Like I said, following morning, the drone footage showed the vessel was completely destroyed. Normally, the way a vessel would be protected against lightning would have a lightning strip on the mast, and it would run all the way down to a grounding plate inside the vessel and the hull, especially if it's a composite. When it's not a metal hull, you have a grounding plate. In fact, a long time ago, I worked on a cruise ship, and our HF antenna mast was hit by lightning a few days before we arrived in the UK for a UK tour, and we ordered a new antenna. And it was shipped to us, but we actually missed, it actually arrived in the port after we'd already left that port. And it was getting forwarded around the UK as we were sailing around the UK. And then we got audited in Portsmouth by the MCA, the Marine Coast Guard Agency. And the captain wanted me to conceal the fact that we had a non-functioning HF system because of this lightning strike. And I had to try and conceal it from them, but they figured it out because they wanted me to test send a HF message, and obviously we couldn't get a reply, and I had to tell them in the end, and the captain was most displeased. But the funny thing is we ordered this antenna, and when we finally received the antenna, the antenna was fine. It was the control box at the bottom of the antenna that was blown out, and we were in such a rush because we were in the middle of this cruise. That we didn't figure it out until afterwards. So we got it fixed in the end, but we got marked down a couple of points by the MCA for having a non-functioning HF antenna, much to the displeasure of that captain. Anyway, we'll move on. We've got an update on sailing yacht Basian. Actually, the anniversary of the sinking of the Basian has just passed. It's the 20th of August today. So a year ago yesterday was when that happened. Unbelievable that a year's already passed. And according to the independent newspaper in the UK, they spoke to Angela Bacaris, who is the owner of the Basian. She was one of the 15 people who escaped that night. Now, in a statement released ahead of that first anniversary, like I said, Ms. Bacaris said she woke at around 4 a.m. after feeling the vessel moving up and down and swaying. She then went up to the upper deck to find the captain, a 52-year-old New Zealander, James Cuffield. And although an interim report released by Italian Coast Guards, the Italian Coast Guard sought to blame Mr. Cuffield and the crew for the sinking, Ms. Bacaris said that she always felt reassured by the crew during bad weather. We'll come back to that interim report thing in a minute. She recalled that the yacht had encountered a really bad storm near Naples 2 weeks earlier without incident. But Ms. Baqueras, 58 years old, described how in the early hours of the 19th of August, objects on board began sliding around the vessel, but not realizing they were in a serious situation. She did not alert the others until something catastrophic happened and the vessel rolled suddenly. I think something catastrophic happened to make the boat roll over, but it was all very sudden, she said. In the article I just read from, it mentions this interim report by the Italian Coast Guard. And an article posted on Boat International's website today also referred to this interim report by the Italian Coast Guard, not the one by the MAIB. But that article was then later retracted for reasons that we don't know. For the record, there is no official publicly released official interim report released by the Italian Coast Guard that we know of, that we've found, and we've done lots of searching for this, especially today after it being mentioned twice. So it's possible they're referring to the report that has been leaked to them, hence maybe the reason why the retraction of the article. I don't know why it was retracted, but hopefully that might change soon. If it's going to come out soon, then we'll bring it to you as soon as we have it. All right, we'll move on. We're a bit late on this one, actually. It's a bit out of our wheelhouse as well, but as a cargo vessel exploded in Baltimore on Monday evening. The cargo ship and it just happened to be sailing past the Francis Scott Key Bridge, the bridge that was knocked down by the container ship Dali last year when it crashed into that bridge, killing 6 workers who were working on vehicle bridge at the time, not the bridge of the ship. This explosion on this cargo ship happened at 22:36 hours UTC time. Continued under her own steam. You can also see the AIS footage here, which confirms the name of the vessel. W Sapphire it was called. The vessel continued under her own steam and was joined very quickly by a number of tugs and fire vessels and emergency response vessels in the area. Very quickly gathered on that area. All the crew on board were accounted for and there were no reported injuries. Now, some of the early reports were talking about the fact that there could have been, it was on board and there could have been people injured. And it's certainly true that it could have been. They were very lucky, though, that the bridge and accommodation block was towards the stern of that vessel. The other area that might have had people was, after they were pulling up anchors and things like that and dropping lines and stuff as the vessel left. The vessel is a 229 metre or 750 foot in length. Like I said, its name is W Sapphire. It's a Liberian registered cargo ship and it was reportedly carrying coal. The port of Baltimore's main shipping channel was closed for several hours on Tuesday while the crews searched for a hatch from the ship that had detached during the explosion and fell into the water, the officials said. They announced late Tuesday afternoon that the channel had reopened. Unbelievable bad luck for that area, right? All those months that the port was closed whilst the Dali cleanup happened and the removal of that bridge, of the remains of the bridge and everything. And then this happened just Monday night. Anyway, we'll move on. Now, in a recent video, the last video we posted, in fact, the last news video we posted, we talked about Abramovich's Eclipse yacht, and we mentioned this firearms locker, this hidden firearms locker on board. Now, that's not the kind of story we normally do because we've not been able to confirm it. We're usually the ones saying that there's other stories about Eclipse having missile defense systems and all this kind of stuff that we've said that they're just not true, those stories. This one, however, we only mentioned it because we've had a number of people who have good reason to know. We've confirmed it as much as we could without actually going on board and taking photographs of it, if you like. That's why we mentioned it. Now, one of the things I did not anticipate, which I should have, is the comments that were going to come from a story like that. And I've got a few of them here just to give you a taster of what's been said. 100% guaranteed that every mega yacht has secret compartments on board. 100% guaranteed that every mega yacht owned by a Russian oligarch has a secret weapons locker on board. Is another one. A newsflash, all these super yachts have arms rooms. And our response to that was, newsflash, you're wrong. We work on super yachts. They don't have arms rooms. Another comment, who could reasonably think that there are no guns on these yachts? Seriously. Russian or not, a lot of simple citizens have some legally owned guns at home, hunting, sports and leisure, home defense, and guys who weights millions of dollars would not. I don't know what that means. The reality is, look, without opening up this whole conversation, we've done videos on this years ago. Lots of people in the US have weapons. It's quite normal for people in the US to have weapons in a lot of states. We understand that. It's not normal for most places, European countries and stuff like that. It's not normal for most people to have weapons and carry weapons and stuff. And the reality is that most yachts do not have weapons lockers and hidden compartments with weapons in and all those stories. And this is one of those things you cannot win. Now, I've spent 25 years in the maritime industry, most of that time spent working on super yachts in engineering, meaning that I've been into all the nooks and crannies, into the keels, into the engine rooms, into the panels, into between decks, working on all of this stuff, private safes failing, and I've had to go in and reprogram them. I've been everywhere on these yachts. And if there was a secret arms locker, we would have known about it. The crew, it's not something you can have on board a yacht and not tell the crew. Now, like I said, it's an argument you can't win, because people will always come back and say, well, you know, for sure they've got it, and the guy's hiding them from you, and he doesn't tell you because you're not important enough and all that. Okay, so bottom line is, it's not normal, hence the fact that we brought that up in an article. Whether or not Eclipse has it or not, like I said, we're not 100% sure. We're as sure as we can be based on the quality of the sources that gave us that information. But, you know, it's still possible that it's not true. Maybe they want that to be out there, and that's why they say it, you know, like the missile defense stuff and all that. It's like one of those stories that you don't deny, because it sort of helps you to protect your vessel, right? If the pirates are watching, then they might say, well, we'll avoid that vessel, which is probably unlikely, actually. But anyway, point being is, it's not normal. The reality is that to carry weapons on a civilian vessel like that, many countries it's illegal to carry those weapons, like the UK, for instance. What best case scenario is, they come on board, you have to declare them. There will be hours of delays before they let you in, because you've declared all of these weapons. Depends on the type of weapons that you have. You might be lucky and they might just seal that cabinet or that room or whatever. That's the best case scenario, is that they seal it and they tell you can't go in while the vessel's in that area. Worst case scenario is, for you, they seize all of those weapons and they take them ashore and you don't get them back. That's the worst case scenario. And, well, the worst case scenario is, if you don't declare them, is that you will be arrested. We did an article a few years ago about a captain in Mexico, and Mexico is full of weapons as well. But he had a yacht and he didn't declare the weapon, and they found it and he was arrested. So, you know, that would happen most likely if they were to go onto a yacht and find undeclared weapons rooms or stashes, that the people would be arrested on board. And if the owner was on board, he'd probably get arrested as well. So that's why we brought it up, because it's abnormal, right? If every yacht had them, it wouldn't be a story, right? So anyway, I just wanted to clarify that. We did actually a video on our members' sites on Patreon and our YouTube members. We talked about this actually in more depth. I did. So if you want to check that out, you join us, patreon.com/sysman, or you can go to YouTube memberships now. We've had a few people sign up now, so there's a small community growing there as well. Check it out. There's links in the description of this video if you want to join. All right, guys, I'll leave it there. If you've got any information for us, send it to us in the email address in the ticket. If you want to send videos and photos of yachts, you can do it in that other link there. You don't need an account. You just send them to us. Thanks very much. Be sure to like this video, very important for the algorithm. Hit the subscribe button and hit the bell for future notifications. If you've watched more than a handful of videos, you might as well subscribe, right? All right, guys, thanks for watching, and I'll catch up with you soon. Bye-bye.